Hi guys, my name is Samantha and I am the designer for Earthchild Shop. I want to show you guys how to do these little noose guys so you can have them too and not feel overwhelmed with the process. So let's do it. So 240 grit sandpaper. I use paintbrushes, some little paintbrushes that I buy out of a pack like this. You're going to want something that does acrylic and watercolor. They tend to hold on to the paint better. I almost always use this little sponge brush. I love these. They're little 1/2-inch brushes. These are 6mm jump rings too, so 6mm works great for the little feet. Let's get into sanding these little guys. I always sand them. If you can look closely, there's some burn on them. Let me show you really quick how I sand this. It goes face down. So to talk about the paint that I use, I really like to use metallic paints. So I made a color right here on my plate. Because metallic paints don't usually have a ton of pigment in them, but they make such a nice shine. They make the finish so much nicer. So I mix them, and it's probably 3 to 1. Or maybe even more of this, maybe like 5 to 1. I did this just because I wanted to show you guys what I'm doing. But most often, if I find a color that I really like and I'm gonna make a lot of the same item, then I will go ahead and put it in these little containers. The reason I like this 1/2-inch brush so much is because it dips right in here. And then to dab off the excess, which I do, like you can see that I've done that right here with other colors, I just dab off the excess. That way I'm not wasting a ton of paint, I'm not making a ton of a color and then I don't use it all, but I dab to keep globs of paint from being on my paintbrush or my paint sponge here, because that's not good either. That will glob down into your engraving. All right, so black hooves coming up. All right, so those are finished. Those don't really have to be touched until the very end. So I don't know, I'm gonna pick a scarf color. I'm gonna go with a blue color. People seem to really like the blue greens, and I also like them. So I'm gonna go ahead and go with the paintbrush on this part. The sponge brush is just a little bit too fat. We're going to sand the sides now. I really like to add a little bit of a rustic vibe to, I don't know, something like a mousse. I feel like it could have a little bit of a rustic vibe. And in order to do that, all you have to do is sand around the outside. All right, so we did that. We are about ready to put it together. So what I like to use, there are a lot of different glues, but this is the one that I use the most. You can just take your little jump rings and put their little feet on, but they dangle just so cute. This is the finished product. This paint is a little bit lighter, but this is the finished piece, and I love them so much.